Hello everyone, Kent Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org.
Hello, everyone. This is Kent Bressler. We're going to do a little podcasting today. And as per usual, we always start with prayer. We bring Father into it to make sure we understand what's going on in this world. Heavenly Father, we thank you for watching over us as we go through life. No one knows better than you how we can serve. Bring us to realize that our faith can grow and that we can always count on your many blessings. For those who are suffering today, please intercede on their behalf and make them whole. Our praises are always about you, and our thanks goes to you, our dear Lord and Savior. Amen. Okay, folks, we're heading into the holiday season, the joys of the holidays, and have you really thought of how important it is to be steady in your commitment to helping others? Kidney Solutions continues to support those who are looking for a donor, but even more than that, being with you throughout your whole journey, during transplant and after. My prayers go out to every one of you as you prepare to face the holidays. We know how difficult some of that can be. To some people, the holidays are not holidays. They're chaotic, and they're just not fun times for people. And that's okay. I get that. And I think the world has a tendency to forget it. But we don't at Kidney Solutions. If you have a problem during the holiday seasons, before or after, just give us a call. 830-285-2140. And we'll help you navigate. We'll help you get through it. We'll mentor you. And guess what? It's free. Totally free. Okay? So let's get started. I haven't done one of these podcasts for a couple of weeks, and it's almost like coming home. It's a very good thing to do in my heart. I love to do it. And so we're going to talk today with Lindsay Ducharme. Lindsay is a dietitian who likes to work in the kidney space. And we're going to have a dialogue on a very important topic, because diet, it's what everybody hopes they can do, but it's actually not, quote, a diet. It's nutrition and eating the right things, maintaining your weight. And we're going to get an expert to talk to us about it this morning. So, Lindsay, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Kent. It's great to be here. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, give me a little bit of background, educational background, where you're coming from in the quote, in the dietary and kidney world.
Sure. So I graduated from the University of Vermont. I did my undergrad in nutrition and dietetics. So to become a dietitian, after you graduate your undergrad and get your bachelor's degree, you need to apply to a dietetic internship program. So it's kind of like a matching system. So I applied to schools around the Boston area because I'm from Massachusetts, and I wanted to move back to the Boston area after college. So I was matched with Simmons College in Boston. So I did their dietetic internship program. And throughout the internship program, you work at different sites. So I was working in a hospital, being supervised by other dietitians, I did a rotation at an outpatient clinic. I did WIC. So I was in all different settings. And then once my internship was over, I then could take my board exam to become a dietitian. So I did pass, and I began working around the Boston area. So I worked a couple of years at a state hospital. I worked in a rehab hospital. So I eventually made my way to working at a dialysis center. That was in 2014. And I never really expected to work in dialysis. The opportunity kind of landed in my lap. I was looking for a job, and a Fresenius clinic about a mile from my apartment had an opening. And one of my friends worked in dialysis as a dietitian and told me about the position. And she was like, I really love working in dialysis. I think you would too. It's a pretty flexible schedule. So that kind of intrigued me. And so I applied and I got the job, and I ended up loving working with dialysis. It was a lot different than I had imagined. Because in school, when we're learning about nutrition for people on dialysis, it was all about very strict diets. It didn't seem like, it seemed like you were kind of teaching the same thing over and over in terms of, low potassium, low sodium, low phosphorus. But you get to realize when you're actually doing it, it's not always one size fits all for nutrition, even with people on dialysis. And just the fact that you really get to know the patients. So people are coming into dialysis usually 3 times a week. So you're really seeing the same patients over and over, and you're building relationships with them, building their trust. So I really liked that aspect of it. So ever since then, I've been working with people with kidney disease. Last year, I opened a private practice that's focused more on non-dialysis kidney disease. So now I'm kind of switching gears, trying to help people now preserve their kidney function so they can hopefully avoid dialysis. So that's where I'm at now.
Wow. Right up my alley, because we have a lot of people in our support group, lots of people in our support group. And I'm going to have you come over at the support group one evening and do a presentation and get to meet him. Dialysis in our world, in the kidney solution world, we really, we entertain dialysis, but we really focus on preemptive transplant. Our whole main concept here is to, transplant first. But dialysis, people just get to dialysis in different ways. If we can get to them early, okay. If we can get to them early and keep them off dialysis, that's what we want to do. I think that's where you're at too. Is that not right?
Exactly. Yes. And, a lot of people I work with on dialysis, actually, most of them were never really told that they could have, changed their diet and possibly delayed ending up on dialysis, or possibly not ended up on dialysis if they had made changes with their diet. So that is part of what motivated me to open my private practice, because there just isn't enough education out there for non-dialysis chronic kidney disease.
It tells me that it goes hand in hand with transplant first. Diet should be the first thing that you totally address, and then practice. But you also have to be told or advised or given the options of thinking about transplant first, right? Exactly. So consequently, I think this is a very open subject, and something that a lot of people just don't even realize, that you can change your diet. Now, it's not a cure, right? But it helps slow the progression. So tell me what your feelings are about slowing the progression of kidney disease.
So it's definitely possible. And obviously, if we're slowing the progression of the disease, that gives us more time to kind of, figure out how we're going to get on the transplant list, because those things take time too. But I have worked with, many people who were shocked that when they started making diet changes, that their GFR, stabilized. Some people it even improved. So I really strongly believe that nutrition should be part of everyone's treatment plan that has kidney disease.
So let's clear up the word diet, okay? Because that is a misrepresented word in society. I don't diet. I consume things that are good for me, or try to, and I do a lot of things in moderation. Give me some kind of idea how you view nutrition, and define diet, okay?
Yes. So I hate the word diet. I do use
I do
it,
too.
but I try to, when I think of it consciously, try to use like eating pattern, because diet has such a negative connotation. To me, it, signifies like deprivation. And you don't
Starvation.
have to be, exactly, which we don't want to be depriving ourselves or starving ourselves. We really want to be nourishing our body, eating to help us feel more energized. So to me, by diet, I mean, focusing on foods that are going to nourish you, like fruits, vegetables, whole grains. It means not being rigid with yourself. I really believe in like a flexible eating pattern. Like, I don't believe in giving up all your favorite foods. When you do this, that causes a sense of deprivation, and that when people are deprived, they tend to fall off track with their eating. So I believe, all things in moderation can fit into your diet, kidney disease or not. And just focusing on, nourishing your body with what you eat.
And volume is important, right? You have to be mindful of how much you're eating. Is that correct?
Yes, and it really depends on, the type of foods, because certain foods, like if your diet is based around, plant foods, less processed foods, you're gonna be needing to eat more of a volume of these foods because they're not as calorically dense. When it comes to, foods that we consider treats, that is when, portions will play a role. And you need to be a little bit more mindful. So it really depends on, what type of foods you're eating.
So I don't want to cross over here too much. We have a specific diet for people who are on, well, a diet who are on dialysis, right? So speak to me about a person who is on dialysis, what they can and should be looking for in far as nutrition goes.
Mm-hmm. So when you're on dialysis, you actually have a higher protein need compared to someone not on dialysis, just because the whole process of dialysis, it is, more demanding on the body. It takes energy to go through, the dialysis treatment. And when you're doing dialysis, you're actually losing some protein in your blood. So dialysis removes toxins from your body, but it's also removing some things that our body needs, like some vitamins and protein. So people definitely need to be, consuming protein at their meals, making that a priority to help keep them, strong and well nourished. Sodium is one thing that you have to be careful of. Mostly because, so when you're on dialysis, it's, your body can't get rid of all the fluid that you normally urinate out. So some people actually urinate pretty normally when they're on dialysis, but a lot of people, they don't urinate as much. So anything you're drinking in is going to be staying in your body until you do your treatment. And then that's where the extra fluid's removed. So if you're having a lot of salt, that's going to make you really thirsty. It's going to make you drink more. So it's going to make it harder to maintain the right balance of fluid in your body. So that's why sodium is a big deal with dialysis. And potassium is another thing you have to be careful of. So potassium can build up in your blood between dialysis treatment, which can be very dangerous. When your potassium level is high, that can actually cause a heart attack.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Can cause your heart to stop.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that is very dangerous. So we always, are careful with potassium intake with dialysis. We're always educating on that. And phosphorus is another thing that people need to be careful of, which, people that don't have kidney disease may have never even heard of phosphorus.
Right.
So it's a mineral that is in most foods. But when you're on dialysis and, you have end-stage kidney disease, your kidneys can't balance the phosphorus. So normally you get rid of phosphorus in your urine. Your body, when you're on dialysis, is holding on to the phosphorus, which can cause problems with your bones, and it can cause calcification, which is the hardening of your arteries. So it causes long-term damage over
Right.
like a long period of time.
Do you think that it's really, really important to tailor the diet for each person on dialysis individually? It's not a blanket issue, is it?
It's definitely important to be tailored, because I've had people on dialysis that actually need to eat more potassium. So it can be very individual based on, each person. And then, a lot of people that are on dialysis, they have other medical conditions. Like some people, they may be diabetic or they have heart disease. So there are certain things that definitely need to be tailored. And of course, your body size is going to make a difference. Like if I have someone who's very petite, they may need to be a little bit more careful with how much fluid they're drinking, just because they have a smaller body size, so the fluid could add up more quickly, and they may not need as much calories and protein as a larger person. So it definitely is pretty unique person to person.
Yeah, dialysis is it's a difficult thing to manipulate and work with because of it. It's not natural. It's very unnatural, but it's needed for people to survive. Let's transition. Let's move over a little bit and take a look at. You mentioned that you're in private practice, and I think it's wonderful that you're going to help people with CKD, chronic kidney disease. Now, give me kind of an idea how that works. What is your main focus? I know it's tailored or individualized, but what is your main focus? What do you want to get out of your folks? Help them with.
So the main goal that most people have that I'm working with is to maintain their kidney function where it's at or improve it. So I work with people, I'd say most of the clients I'm working with now are stage 3 or 4 kidney disease. So they'll come to me mostly out of fear, because they have found out they have kidney disease and they do not want their kidney function to get worse. They do not ever want to end up on dialysis. And so our main goals are focused on what we can do with their diet to help slow or stop the progression of their kidney disease. So we kind of focus on, and it is individual for each person because it depends on, what caused their kidney disease. That may lead us to certain dietary interventions, or they may have other goals as well. Like they may want to improve their blood sugar or cholesterol. But the main goal is definitely on helping them maintain their kidney function where it's at, so it doesn't get worse.
So if an individual has, excuse me, individual is stage 4, let's say, and in that particular case, their GFR is lowering, going lower and lower. At what point in time does the conversation actually occur about the possibility of a transplant in your mind? Did you see it in your patients? Have they been told that there's a possibility they'll need to be transplanted?
I do have, I'd say most of the people that I have that are stage 4 are in talks with their doctors about transplant. They may be going through the process of getting worked up. That is something, I do ask them, because I like
Good.
to know if they know their options.
Great.
Yeah.
That's what,
so
that's what,
important.
Right. That's what I wanted to really ask you about, because a lot of the times these people walk through this whole process without knowing their options. And everybody in the medical field, no matter where they're at, nurses, physical therapists, dietitians, social work, they all have an opportunity to engage patient and ask them how much they know about transplant, how much they know about dialysis, what education have they gotten? Because most of them will say, well, I don't know a thing about it. Or they'll say, well, they're talking to me about it. Well, talking and making a decision is a different thing. All right.
Yeah.
And then, so I really applaud you for being upfront and saying, we talk about that, because I think, transplant is really important in this whole dialogue.
It is, yeah, especially because, I think about all the people I've worked with on dialysis that weren't really told these things. They weren't given the options when they should have been. So that, really makes me think, like, we need to make sure everyone knows what their options are.
Even so, as you talk about their diet and nutrition, if they don't know their options for transplant, I mean, that can really, it takes time to do a transplant. It takes time to go get on dialysis. And you want to, and that's kind of like a real major goal in the whole process of transplant, preemptive transplant, is to have a mission, and realize that you have the option to be transplanted without any dialysis. A lot of people don't even know that.
Exactly. Yes. Which is crazy.
Yeah. But see, you've interceded by doing that. That's in your repertoire, especially with working with CKD patients, people who are stage 3, 4. Now's the time to talk about it. And, that's what we do. And what we do for free is to talk to people and mentor them, help them through this whole process. So yeah, it's good. Okay. Here's one for you. Most kidney patients, either on dialysis or after they go to transplant, they get old. Did you know that? Did you know people get old?
Yes.
And you know what? When you get old or older, or as you age, everything changes. And that maybe probably go by decades. I believe that, at your 20s to 30s, 30s to 40s and such, each decade brings change, and especially in the need for food and the right kinds of foods. Can you speak to that a little bit in relationship to kidney disease?
Sure. Yeah, so it really, age can be, some people age better than others, or so it depends on the person, but definitely it's good to be a little more liberal diet wise as people get older. taste buds change as you age, which may affect someone's ability to eat. Like they may not find food as pleasurable. And what we don't want is to be very restrictive with our older patients, especially, when they're not eating well, because then, they end up having unintended weight loss, which can worsen their outcome. We really want to keep people strong, especially if they're going to be listed for transplant. That is one of the priorities. So definitely sometimes a more liberal diet is warranted for people as they age, and being a little less restrictive with the protein, just to make sure that we're maintaining lean body mass. So those are probably some of the changes we'd make for people as they're getting older.
You speak of protein. A lot of people say, "Oh, I can't eat. I have kidney disease, and I got to watch my protein." How do you address that with people?
So I start off by telling people, you need protein to live. Protein is an essential part of our diet. It's needed for every cell in our body. People they are afraid of protein sometimes because they read online that protein is hurting their kidneys, but really it's just eating too much for your needs is harmful. So we need a certain amount of protein to maintain our muscle mass and just, live a healthy life. So I definitely focus on, not the reasons that we need protein, so people aren't, scared, because we really shouldn't be scared of any food group or nutrient. And it's all about, just knowing the right amount of protein that your body needs. And I encourage a lot of plant protein, because the plant protein is a little more gentle on the kidneys compared to the animal protein. So that is a way that you can get protein without being worried about the burden of the waste products from getting too much of the animal protein.
So give me an example of plant-based nutrition in relationship to protein. How everybody says, well, I'm a vegan or whatever. Yeah. And how do I get my protein? In general, speak to that if you could.
Yeah. So there are many plant foods that are a good source of protein. So when people think of plant protein, a lot of times they'll jump to like those processed vegan meats, like the Beyond Burgers, just vegan chicken patties. But really the best sources of plant protein are ones that are less processed, like beans and nuts, soy products like tofu and edamame. All these foods are higher protein plant foods. So it is definitely possible, even people, that aren't on dialysis, it is possible to meet your protein needs with just plants. You just have to know the portions to meet your protein needs. Because when you compare like half a cup of beans, that has maybe like 7 grams of protein versus 3 ounces of chicken that has 21 grams. So you do, if your protein needs are higher, you do need to make sure you're having adequate portions of these plant proteins to meet your needs. But it is definitely doable with a well-planned eating plan.
Yeah, because most people struggle just with trying to figure out what to eat. And that's why we go to fast food and stuff like that. People think, well, it's okay, just go in and have a McDonald's burger or have a Big Mac or, go out to eat. And I think that you have to make a choice, because if you're going to do like a plant-based, you're going to have to know what to do. You can't just start on it. You have to have a good, are you plant-based? Do you really believe that that's a good way to do it?
Yeah, I myself myself eat mostly plant-based. I'm not vegan. It's not like I'm avoiding animal foods, for like animal rights. I have just grown accustomed to including more of these plant proteins in my meal. I feel like it makes me feel good. And yeah, I like that way of eating. But yeah, it takes some getting used to, especially if you're not used to preparing these foods.
Exactly.
Like my family didn't grow up eating, vegetarian meals a lot. I mean, there were some that we ate, but our meals consisted usually of like meat, potato, vegetable. So I myself had to learn how to prepare some of these bean dishes, and it does take some time, but once you learn a few recipes, you try it a few times, you realize you can do it, and then you just can slowly start incorporating some plant-based meals into your repertoire. And that's a good place to start. It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's the same way when there are a lot of us out there, including myself, who do enjoy a steak, do enjoy a hamburger. All right. And they're going to continue to do that. So what do you do? How do you deal with that? Because most of the time people load up on those things, right? They have the 12 ounce or the 14 or the 16-ounce steak, or there has got to be some type of happy medium here, without changing so drastically to one end or the other.
Exactly. I have a lot of people that I work with who are big meat eaters, and we just start by just cut back your portion a little bit. You don't have to completely remove it, because you don't want to get that feeling of deprivation, because then it's going to be harder to stay on track. But it's all about just making sustainable changes. It doesn't have to be drastic. But
I like
some
that.
people, some people find, they'll get used to the smaller portions, and then they're like, okay, let me, try having my meat maybe, 4 times a week instead of 6 times a week. And then they get used to that. And then especially when they're seeing progress in their labs, that kind of gives them a little bit more motivation. They may say like, hey, this is really working. I'm still able to enjoy my meat a couple times a week, and my kidney function is staying okay. So they like the results. That helps keep them on track as well.
How about for us fish lovers?
So fish is considered an animal protein, so you still have to be careful of the portion, but there are definitely benefits to fish, especially the fatty fish, which has the omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for our nutrition. So I think that fish is definitely a good option for a protein. Just still, you don't want to go crazy with the portion, but it is something that people can definitely include.
When you say go crazy with it, is it ounce related? 2 ounces, 6 ounces, 12 ounces. What a portion size of fish? Let's just say of salmon. What portion size are we talking about here?
So a standard portion size for any sort of meat or protein like fish or chicken is about 3 or 4 ounces. So, this is a lot less than the portion we're going to be getting at the restaurant. So usually it's going to be at least double that. And it's going to give the portion size that you want for your protein. Also is going to depend on your size. So someone who's smaller, 3 ounces may be sufficient, but someone who's, really tall, they may need a little bit more. So your protein needs are based on your weight.
Okay, so that's a good overview of what we need to do. And so I think it's really important to have a mentor, right? I really believe that you would be a great mentor, and that's that that's what we need in the kidney world. To be able to pick the phone up and call somebody and say, hey, I don't get this. They just told me yada, 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 and I don't get it. And they told me to go on a Mediterranean diet or those kinds of things require consistency with information. So where do you get where can a person get the best information about specific dietary needs?
So the best way is going to be by finding a kidney dietitian like myself, or there's many others out there. So the National Kidney Foundation, they do have a database of kidney dietitians by state, which is a great place to look. But it's definitely important to see a kidney dietitian because we're going to be up to date with the latest guidelines specific to kidney disease. A general dietitian, they may have some of the basics, but they're usually not up to date with all of the latest guidelines. And I could say that as someone who used to not be a specialist in kidney nutrition. When I was a new dietitian, I look back and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I, used to tell people this, because we used to, when you look online and you Google like kidney nutrition, a lot of things you'll find is, if you have CKD, you can't have nuts, you can't have beans, you have to do low potassium. But that is far from the truth, because now they have found that, more plant foods is actually really beneficial for CKD. Your body doesn't absorb all of the phosphorus from nuts and beans. So, unfortunately, someone who's not specialized in kidney disease, this is the kind of information they're probably giving to patients. And I've had patients come to me from other dietitians and they were told, oh, I was told I can't have bananas. And then I'll go back and, tell them, listen, your potassium is perfect. Like, you don't have to follow a low potassium diet. There's no need to. So you'll end up with, the best information when you work with a kidney dietitian.
I think that's what I wanted to stress the importance of. And we've found that in the group. Most of the people that want to know what to eat, how to eat. They need help with that. And so why would you go? You really need a mentor. You need somebody like you, like a dietitian that's trained in the renal and has a love for that, and can walk that diet to you, talk it and walk it. And it's very important. And so that's consequently the reason that I was so glad to find you. I really I think this is an important part of your kidney journey. And if aside from exercises and diet, those are two things are the very most important thing. No matter what stage you're in, if you've been transplanted or if you're having trouble with your kidney transplant, diet has and exercise has a tremendous effect on how well you will do.
I agree, definitely.
Okay, so I think that can I invite you to our group? Would
Definitely,
you?
I'd love to join.
Okay, I want to take a second here. I want you to go ahead and plug yourself for your it's not really a group, but what you're doing. Just give me a plug here. Sure. Let everybody hear it.
Yeah, so I have a private practice called Vital Kidney Nutrition, and I also have a private Facebook group, Eat to Improve Kidney Health. But I see one-to-one patients through my private practice. I do accept many insurances. And you can find my website at vitalkidneynutrition.com, and it has all my contact info in there. So I love working with one-on-one patients.
Say that again.
Vital Kidney Nutrition.
Okay. .com.
Yeah.
Okay. I think everybody got that. All right. Is there a number that they can call or an email address?
Yes, they can email me at Lindsay, Lindsay, at vitalkidneynutrition.com.
Okay. That's good. That's what we want to know. All right. So I think that's gonna, if unless there's something that's really pulling at your heartstring you want to talk about as far as nutrition goes, what is it that did we miss anything? Because this has really been a good overview of what we need to know.
Yeah, I think we went over everything. I think the main point is definitely, don't be afraid to get help. Because I do have some people that are like, I really thought I could figure this out on my own. I've had doctors who are patients because it's complicated. So don't beat yourself up if this is not something that you're getting the hang of. It's confusing, and that's why I'm here to walk you through it.
Oh wow, that's well said. Help you walk through this because it is difficult, and if you don't think it is, that's why people don't. They just give up on it. And then even if they don't have kidney disease, people give up. And that's why you need mentors. That's why you need the Lindsays. Okay, that's why you need a renal dietitian. All right. So yeah, let's give her a ring up. Let's email her, and if you need assistance, let her work through it. All right, it would be great. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna thank you so much for coming on, and you definitely we'll set a date for you to come to the support group on Monday nights. Yeah,
Awesome.
our Monday night group is a great group, and so is our Thursday night. But Monday is we always have a guest speaker at least once a month, and it's looking like we might have guest speakers a lot more often because there's so much fun. All right, and it's very simple. We just have you give a presentation, then we open it up. People can ask questions. All right. So I'll talk to you about it a little later.
Yeah.
Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on. You're a joy.
You're welcome. Thank
really
you for the invite. This was fun.
You bet. And we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, listen. We know how important diet is. If you're just starting on your kidney journey, or if you're in the middle, or if you're towards the end of making decisions, just remember that we can help you at Kidney Solutions. We're a free mentoring service that helps you try to locate a living donor. We advocate transplant first, but we don't turn anyone away. We get a phone call, we take them into the brood and work with you. And if you get transplanted, we'll be there when you get transplanted. And hopefully we can work with you afterwards to supplant and help your transplant team help you keep your kidney. Generally speaking, at this point in time, I like to thank all the people that I work with. And I'm not going to name any names, but if you go on kidneysolutions.org, you'll see everybody that's working as a volunteer with our great organization. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody, Shannon and Jonathan and Jason and Jim. They know who they are. And if you could just do me a big favor, when you listen to this, like it, but also champion it, send it around, get it out to people. This is information that you need. All right. It's just basically something that everyone needs is education. All right. And this is the easy way to get it, because it's not hard to listen, but it's hard to implement. And that's why we have the Lindsays of the world. All right. Do me a big favor. Keep breathing.